Hello everyone, Eva here and welcome to the next episode of Art Side of Life, where I chat with inspiring artists and create various art-related videos. Before we go to the interview, I wanted to let you know that my course Storytelling with Color and Light is now available for you at artsideoflife.com/color. I designed the course for beginner and intermediate artists, breaking the big topic of color and light into smaller parts to help you understand the main concept so you can make your artworks appealing and believable. So check it out at artsideoflife.com/color. And now let's go back to the interview. My guest today is Sam Nassour, and in this episode we will talk about why it's important to master the art of observation and how it can help you to level up your artistic skills. Sam is an art director and visual development artist, originally from Syria, now living and working in Dubai. He works mainly in animation and games with studios like Cartoon Network, DreamWorks TV and Nickelodeon Jr. He also enjoys creating his own concepts and illustrations that tell fun and entertaining stories and promote positivity. And now please welcome Sam Nassour, and let's get to the interview. So welcome everyone to the next episode of Art Side of Life, and I'm super happy to have Sam here. Hi!
Hi everybody.
So welcome, and let's start with your background, and maybe you can tell us a bit more about your influences in your childhood and what get you where you're now, like these biggest turning points.
Sure. You want to go back to the beginnings and everything?
Yes, please.
I grew up in a small town in Syria, actually, and I know when you say Syria, it's like bringing a lot of political conflicts and drama, and But when I was growing up, it was the best. It was really nice, and nothing like what is right now. So I really enjoyed drawing since I was a kid, and I've been taking all the chances that I got. I was drawing on papers and on the walls and everything. It was just a natural thing to me. I would see something like a cat, or I remember I started looking at animal magazines since I was a kid, and I was always really inspired by the different shapes of animals and different colors and things like that. So I would always try to capture it in my own way. And I remember even bringing tracing paper. I didn't know how to draw so much at the time. So, I would take tracing paper and try to, draw over the picture.
Yeah. And
then I would be like, wow, actually I could do it. It doesn't take more than a few lines, and you get a drawing that says something, this is a creature. And so, yeah, it started like this.
Yeah, and so which were maybe the kind of animations or books or zoo or something which influenced you the most?
You mean
during childhood? Yeah, or when we were formatting?
Yeah. I think the influence for me was definitely Belgian comics. I was always in love with Tintin and Asterix and Obelix. The level of quality in them. I always admired Uderzo, the artist who created Asterix and Obelix. And when I was reading these comics, I would be really drawn into this world and the humor and the and the action, and always looking at more on the panels than just flipping the pages. I would spend a minute or two just looking at the picture and see how much quality he brought to every line. So that was really inspiring to me, and it made me also try to do my own comics. As I was growing up, I brought lots of paper and pens and everything, and created some characters of my own. And it was really an enjoyable experience because you get to create a world and build a character and go through a journey with that character. And that was my inspiration in the beginning. And comics and storytelling, basically. Yeah.
And do you remember a character you created as a child? Something, Purple Hippo?
Yeah. Hippos, not much, but I created characters inspired by Greek mythology. I was inspired by different kind of cultures as I was growing up and reading about this, gods and heroes and, demigods and creatures. They had so much creativity in these stories, so that was always very inspiring to me. and I created a few characters, and they were like adventure characters. They would go different places and face different types of monsters, and yeah, I enjoyed that. That I was I was in a place where I can decide what happens in the story. So that was really enjoyable to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And was there some kind of like a mythology or legends from the town or area where you're from?
Little bit, yes, little bit. For example, like also Arabian mythology is full of crazy things like monsters and genies, and yeah. So it's also like it has some influence on me, of course. Yeah.
And how was it for you deciding to what to study or how to study? Did someone advise you maybe what school?
Yeah. Well, growing up in my country, you don't have like the biggest animation schools, of course, and in my city specifically, it was a little bit. I wanted to study something that has something that's creative, like in the creative field. And at the time, I was doing well in high school, so I took the chance that I could enroll in architecture. So I did that. I studied architecture, and I can't say that I didn't like it. It was really valuable for me because you get to know a lot about how to think in 3 dimensions and how to design something that looks cool, even though it's a building or it's like an interior space, but I think design principles apply to all kinds of creative fields. You get to learn all kinds of things, and also 3D modeling. All that came from architecture study, so it was nice. Yeah. Well, later in life, I decided that I have to make this decision to whether to work in animation or in architecture, and then I really knew that. If I want to be honest with myself, I want to be working in the animation because it speaks more to me. It's more like the thing that I cannot not do. You know what I mean? So it's a thing that is natural, and and then I was looking for jobs that is directly related to this field.
Yeah. Maybe you can mention like your first artistic job right after you decided, okay, I'm going for this one.
The first serious one was after graduation, but before that, even while I was studying, I was working in a small design studio in my city, and there was we were doing like graphic design basically, and I got that was my start in digital art. Yeah. I would only know how to draw something on paper. But it was great to experience for the first time that you can scan this picture and then you can color it, and you have unlimited colors and layers and everything. So that was like my first break into designing on the computer, and it was like a great learning experience. After that, after graduation, my first job. Well, I also got some freelance work. After I graduated, I got like some freelance work doing character design actually, and and then it's a long story.
Maybe you can take us through like the big points, like how you got from one job to another and how was the transition for you. How you persuaded a new employer or a new freelance provider, okay, I can do this, and this is my portfolio. Yeah.
Well, when I first came to Dubai, I was looking for, all kinds of creative jobs, and luckily there was a job that there was a position in a company that does both storyboarding for, it's like a design agency, let's say.
And so when you moved, did you just move to Dubai without a job, or you just like, okay, I'm going to Dubai and then I will find something, or did you move with some other job offer? Because it can be hard without, offering a job.
Yeah, I know. No, I came without nothing actually at the time. I just came to see what I can get, and if it didn't happen, I would move somewhere else, so just came to try it out. And luckily at the time, they opened the Cartoon Network studios in the UAE. So that was a great chance. I went there and I showed them my work. And since then I'm working here. So
Oh, super cool.
It's really
And
good.
so,
Yeah.
so, and what was the story? How you maybe met them, or how did you find out about, that Cartoon Network actually exists there?
Well, it's a funny story. It was like I remember we were at the beach at the time, and me and my friends were coming back from the beach, and I saw this big Comic Con uh, in that area, and I was like, oh, I want to check this out. I didn't know there's a Comic Con, it's and it seems very big. So everybody else went home, and I went inside the Comic Con, and yeah, and there was like a booth that Cartoon Network was opened, that they opened, and they were at the time they were looking for like different talents, and yeah, at the time I didn't have anything with me, not even a portfolio. It was really like very spontaneous kind of thing, So, but I wanted to talk to them and maybe like get the chance to work there. So I only had my phone with me, and I was in my shorts and
With the beach
flip-flops.
towel.
Yeah, and I told them, look, here's my work. You can go through these images from Facebook, and yeah.
And what did you have in that portfolio at the time? Did you have some environments or characters, or was it a combination of stuff?
Well, luckily I had a combination of stuff. Yeah, like I had maybe 80% characters and a few backgrounds. Yeah, but the good thing, they made a good impression. These few images that I posted on Facebook, at least, even though on the phone, and it was really not the most impressive job interview, but they made a good impression. And later then I sent them like an official email, and then it started from there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you started as a character designer or something else?
Oh, there was a small project at the beginning. We were doing like a pitch for a potential TV show, and my job there, I was like a background artist at the time, but I also influenced a little bit on the character design. Yeah. I did like a few character designs at the beginning, but then later transitioned into making the backgrounds basically for that short, for that pitch.
Oh, cool. And so maybe for someone who don't know, how does your normal day in your job look like now? Maybe you can mention like how does it work, when you work on a project or something which is not confidential, but some like to explain so people understand like what is it to be like in your role.
Yeah, well, my job now is an art director, so I get to wear different hats, like they say. I have to sometimes influence the character designs of the episode that we're working on, or sometimes even like suggest a different type of a background. I would also maybe gather references for a certain, like maybe if we have like a set that happens, let's say on an island somewhere. So my job will be to provide reference images for that location, even pictures from everywhere, and also maybe suggest some mood, some specific lighting conditions to the artists. So that's really nice for my job, because I get to work with different types of artists. I mean, character designers, background artists, and and also work with the 3D modelers sometimes to guide them how to model the character in a good way. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So that's how it usually starts when you work on a project at work. What do you get the references, or maybe do you do also thumbnails and some other stuff? If you can mention like your bullet points of working art process.
Well, there's oftentimes what I have to do the color keys for a certain episode. So I would wait for the storyboard artists to finish their storyboards, and I would take them. And my job will be to establish the color keys for that episode. So if it's like dark, and I would also always look at references and add references to the storyboard team, to the lighting team, and tell them this is how the mood in this shot should be. And I would also paint it and try to communicate that mood that I have in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, and did you also do like something like mood boards with icons and color palettes or these kind of things, or not so much?
It happens. Depends on the time limit. If you have like a little bit if you have more time, if you have more focus on this episode, then it allows you to, expand and pay more attention to every detail. Yeah.
Before we continue, let's thank our sponsors. If you love discovering and trying out new art tools, you should check out Art Snacks. When you subscribe, you will get a box of high-quality art supplies every month. I have already discovered so many amazing new products, limited edition tools and exclusive supplies only available to subscribers. Art Snacks definitely helps me to get more creative and try different art techniques every month. There is also Art Snacks Challenge, where you can share your artworks using only the tools in the monthly box. You also get to join the Art Snacks Mix community, where you can talk with other artists like you, inspire each other and improve together. And because you are part of Artside of Life community, you will get a special 10% discount with the promo code ARTSIDE10. So don't wait, visit artsideoflife.com/artsnacks and use the promo code ARTSIDE10. If you are a digital artist, you will love AstroPad. AstroPad is an app that turns your iPad Pro into professional wireless graphics tablet for your Mac. I use it to work with Photoshop and Illustrator to create highly rendered artworks for my clients directly on my iPad. I was super excited to discover AstroPad because the painting apps available on iPad don't have all the functionality like Photoshop. With AstroPad, I can use all my favorite and custom-made Photoshop brushes, which is super cool. And because you are part of Artside of Life community, you will get an exclusive 10% discount on AstroPad Studio licenses. To get started, go to artsideoflife.com/astropad and enter the promo code ARTSIDE. And now, let's go back to the interview. So what would you advise someone who would like to do maybe something what you do like now, what they should practice, or maybe some cool, useful tips?
Maybe, you mean for like starting artists or?
Yeah, or someone who just maybe want to break in the industry in this way, and they are like, okay, what should I have in my portfolio to show,
Mm-hmm. I think the first thing they should do is to listen to themselves. As I think it sounds cliche, but it's really true. You have to be honest and know let's say if you open like Pinterest or like Google Images about maybe concept art, mm-hmm. What are the things that really draw your attention? Is it characters or is it environments? What are the images that make you go like, oh wow, I want to do this? So you have to listen to that drive and focus more on that thing, and. Yeah, I mean, you can be versatile, of course. You don't have to be only doing character designs, because all kinds of explorations and experiences are really good for your career. Mm-hmm. But if you are more drawn to characters or to backgrounds, focus on that in the beginning and put your power in it and present the best you can do. You can do the best you can do at the time and. Even though it's not perfect, they don't have to worry about it. They can always share it online and see, some people giving them feedback. And yeah, I mean, people shouldn't be uptight about when they're starting out. Should always try to do the best they can and get the feedback. And
yeah. And so
this is how they improve. Yeah.
And so if you're like in a studio and they're looking for someone new for your studio, what is it something which catches your attention? Like, oh, this is actually really cool.
I think I don't know, the certain level of quality. I think like you see from the work that someone is really dedicated, mm-hmm. and someone is not afraid to explore different ideas, different. Let's say, maybe surprise us a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good factor as well. Like not to be a very standard artist. Mm-hmm. Always try to push yourself to a level that is a bit surprising. Like, oh, this is something fresh and something that we kind of maybe need, for a certain project. So because not all studios are looking for pretty girl characters or you know what I mean. So you can always try to expand your subject matter and if you're doing backgrounds also you have to bring a certain level of believability to the backgrounds and a certain level of like a good color understanding, good lighting understanding. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think you have to be reaching a certain level of of quality, to be able to be, apply for a studio job.
Yeah. So you have to think as well about the composition and physics of
Yeah,
light and this kind of thing when you are like reflecting surfaces in the environment
of course. Well,
and
yeah,
all
it
of that.
doesn't have to be. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be too scientific, but at least it has to be believable. Like if you're working on environments, especially, and also characters. I mean, lighting characters is also, it brings a level of you can relate to this character more. It feels like it's already like a 3D volume. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're creating your own artworks, what is your creative process? Do you work with shapes first, or do you think about like, oh, this would be a cool light, and then I want to apply it to something, or what is your creative process?
So, are you talking about my personal
Yeah.
artwork? Like what they always start with a very rough sketch all the time. Like it's not even about shapes so much. I think maybe I would just scribble something very quickly. That's my approach usually. So from that scribble, I can find like different ideas, and then because it's very cheap to do a sketch, you can just throw it away. So yeah, exactly. So from one simple sketch, if I can already imagine where it can go, so I can take it from there. So if I like what's going on from that sketch, then I feel like okay, this maybe deserves to spend some time on it, and maybe try to improve the shapes, improve the composition, and then think about the color later.
Yeah.
But actually, sometimes the opposite happens. Sometimes I see something very interesting in color, and maybe it inspires me to start with color and then do some shape designs and composition a bit later. So yeah, it really depends.
Yeah, because you mentioned before that you like to, at least when you were a child, right, to look at the shapes of the animals and stuff. So do you try
Yeah.
to vary, like different drawings? Like now I did something like boxy, squarey, and now I want to do something round.
Yeah. I think it's really fun to play with shapes, different shapes and different features of. If you're creating creatures, let's say, it's so much fun to look at reference images of animals and borrow things from here and things from there and create your own kind of creature design. And I like it, yeah, to make variation in the shapes. You don't want to create something that is always, within the same creature. You don't want to, I don't know, you want to create something that is interesting and has some variation in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like straight against curves and
Yeah,
these kind of things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Or just do some, I don't know, maybe I should try sometime to do just straights. I don't know how it work, how it would look. Maybe nice.
Maybe a giraffe, just like lines.
I don't know. Maybe it can look nice. Who knows? Yeah.
And when you are creating also the environments and worlds compared with the characters, how does it work for you? Do you usually start from a character to environment, or the other way around?
Like if I start with background first.
Because sometimes when we have a background, then we can think about, okay, this would be actually character which would be adaptable to this, I don't know, underwater environment, or you always start with the character and then develop a story around it with the background to it.
I think it can happen both ways, really. Like, yeah, but mainly I think if you're working on a project that has, like, let's say, it's like an episode of a TV show or a movie. There's always the script. Like there's always something specific about backgrounds. I think it starts from there mainly. Yeah, you can start with imagining the location, how it looks like, what are the elements in that location, how does it feel like, what is the mood, and then I think they work side by side. Designing characters and backgrounds. I think you can't really separate them. Yeah. It's like you imagine the location and then see if the characters can fit in it. At the same time, you can change this and then change that. It's like like you work simultaneously on the same on the two things. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you go about then the color scripts or working with color for the whole story? Can you tell us maybe a bit more about like working with color scripts?
Color scripts are very important, especially for lighting, for 3D lighters, because this is their guide. To be able to know what is the mood here, um, and have something to refer to, of course, and this is including like the time of day, and if it's like a situation, if it's a little bit dangerous, you want to bring like some specific colors that makes it a little bit more intense, or if you want a situation that is more relaxed. So different colors we relate to as humans that are easy to let also the audience relate to if you implement them in your color script. And working in TV, though, it's not always the most expensive, like a color script arc, let's say, because TV episodes are a little bit limited. And I think when you work on movies, you get more time to explore every single detail, and that's something I didn't do yet. I'm always working on TV episodes right now, so yeah, later in life I'll explore color keys for movies.
Yeah, because also like when you mentioned like you can have more time to expand on certain idea, or like either the scary mood or I don't know, positive mood, because right now in a TV animation that it's usually like maybe the whole thing is positive and then you can vary the colorful stuff and then you have some tension and action.
Yeah. There is a little bit of limited, but the important thing in TV as well is time of day. It's maybe more important than mood.
Yeah.
Because there's let's say even interior spaces. I mean, the 3D lighters have to understand exactly what the mood should be. Otherwise, they would do stuff from their own, which is not always a good idea. So you always have to guide them. This is how. Let's say we have a sunset or a time. Like let's say dawn, sunny day. So all of these things they should understand from your color script.
Yeah. Because then do you provide also different moods for the same setting? When you are thinking like, oh, okay, maybe in this scene when I don't know this character is chasing this other character, and then you play with the different colors for this same scene just to see what fits better.
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it happens.
And then do you try to work with a different color, like completely different, or just tweaking like small details in this set?
I don't know.
It really depends on the story, right?
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
Depends on the story. Yeah.
And you work with color and light a lot, and so what helped you to develop your skills the most along the way?
I think observation mainly. I think there's a point where you feel like your characters when you're learning. I mean, you can reach a good point of being able to draw, but then you want to be able to bring your characters to the next level, or your backgrounds, and you start learning about how lighting works. And I remember my characters always, when I would color them, I would shade them and everything, but there's something lacking in them. There's no life, when I was trying to learn how it works. And turns out it's not only a simple main light and then like a shadow. There's a lot of variation that comes between, so that you have like the main light, you have the balanced light and the reflected light, and all of that, all of these factors really improve how the character looks, and makes it more believable and interesting to look at, And how I learned, observation. I read books. I watched lots of YouTube videos and courses. Yeah, but it's all self-taught basically. Yeah.
Oh, really cool. Yeah. And can you recommend us maybe some resources you learn from so people can check that out as well, like maybe books or documentary even?
I think the biggest resource is life. Go outside and bring your sketchbook or iPad or whatever, and try to observe how, like, let's say sunlight works, and how it works. And that's a great exercise to do, to paint even in your room, or if you want to go in nature. And really you will learn a lot by just trying to draw what you see and observe and simplify what you see. You don't have to be stuck on little details. You can always can always simplify what you see and make it so that you understand how lighting works. One book I also liked, one book that I like is called Fill Your Oil Painting with Light and Color. Mm-hmm. And that's a good book because it's not only about oil painting. It teaches you how to simplify the subject and think about it in like light family and shadow family, and and try to make variations within these families. And there's always lots of resources you can find on the subject, and it's really valuable when you start learning this thing. And it should be fun. People shouldn't treat it like a science.
Yeah,
it should
like
be
a chore. I have to do that.
No. It should be very relaxing and very enjoyable.
Yeah. And so how do you choose maybe things to paint outside when you go out and you are like, oh, this light is awesome? Or, how do you choose the locations to paint?
Well, I don't know. I don't paint traditionally outside or anything. I'm not really good with traditional media. But sometimes I take iPad and iPad Pro and do some urban sketching. Mm-hmm. If I travel somewhere, it's always enjoyable for me to do some sketching of this architecture and the people, and but sometimes I just take a picture. Sometimes I take a photo and say, "Oh, this sunlight is really nice here. I'm gonna capture this photograph, and I don't have time to draw anything right now. But later, when I go back home, I'm gonna open that picture and maybe try to do something similar, or
Yeah, just to do the study, to see what they were the shapes and stuff, and then you can still kind of remember what you saw in the real life to do the light and color, because it's always a bit different from photo to real life. So
it is. The photos, it doesn't always give you the same the same the same colors. It's always a little bit different. So you want to enrich it in a painting and bring something from your memory in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because maybe the lit areas are totally white in the photo, and the dark areas just dark. Yeah. There is no variety in colors.
Unless you are a good photographer, then you can tweak your camera to the manual settings and snap the best.
And then the light is gone. You're like, oh.
Yeah. I'm not so good with this. I'm not so good in photography. I mean, I try to. If I have time, if the subject is not moving, then I can take a good photo. But if it should be fast, some animal or some bird flying or something, then I don't have time to tweak these things at all, So.
And so which places maybe to draw, or cultures that are inspirational for you, because we talked about the legends a bit as well, and, these stories, and maybe from your travels, what was interesting to draw, or places?
In terms of places, I always liked Italy. Italy is amazing. I studied there for a year. It was my final year of architecture, and I spent it in Rome, and there it was so inspiring. Everything was you're like in a museum outside, if you are in a museum, but it's outdoor, So that was very nice to draw this architecture. Yeah, Italy is my favorite place, and. Other than that, wherever I travel, I always get inspired. Every place has its own richness, and different culture, different types of lifestyle, and it always inspires you to capture it in a way,
Yeah. And so how do you work with these inspirations, when you are on the location, do you write notes, maybe, I don't know, old men sitting on a bench, or, interactions between kids, or the light, or how do you kind of remember these moments, or do you do small sketches from this?
Honestly, no, not so much. Mm-mm. No, but from photographs, yes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I open my photographs because I take lots of photos when I travel, and when you open them, you see something that you didn't really pay attention to when you were there, but you remember, oh yeah, this is a nice old man on a bench or something like that. So that's something that could be a character, or this may be, I don't know, some composition of maybe some picture with a nice lighting in it, or. Yeah, something that maybe not immediately you realize when you were traveling, but after the fact. And then I always look back at the photographs and see if there's something I can use. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can combine like, oh, I like this light here, and then maybe I can apply it to this location because it was good layout, and then you move around stuff.
Exactly.
Ah, cool. So what is your favorite thing to paint now? Is it the animals or something else?
Yeah, you can say, well, I don't know. I don't want to limit myself with painting animals. Yeah, but it's something that I enjoy, and I always enjoyed. And I like to create creatures as well. You know, it's not just necessarily like a dog or a cat or animal, but I enjoy creating different types of creatures that have a certain level of believability.
Yeah.
That you can believe that the creature really kind of could exist. And other than that, I also enjoy painting in general, like creating backgrounds and just imagining different types of locations, and character design is nice as well. I mean, I enjoy different kinds of
painting,
subjects. Yeah.
And if you think about like back to the career, is there something you would advise young self? You know, like something you wish you knew before you started the whole art career. Yeah, you know, the change from architecture to artistic.
Well, yeah, something that I would advise my young self. I would say maybe not to overwork. That's something that I would say to my younger self, because there were times where you get tempted to just sit down and finish your work and get more work, and a little bit you can get a little bit burned out. So that's what I want to say to my younger self. You know, if I could, just to go out more, go out in nature and don't overwork so much. Now I can control time better. So.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah.
So the normal working day, like how many hours a day do you like draw or work, or do you have some daily rituals which contributes to your success?
Crazy rituals. No, I just get to work, get it done, get out.
Only the tea. That's the ritual.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what tea is this. It's a secret.
Secret tea, okay. Secret blend.
That's how I'm able to talk, yeah.
Oh, perfect. And if we also talk about, what would you advise young self, but also what was maybe your most difficult time in your art career, because that's where we usually learn the most. If you can mention some of the story and the takeaway from this time.
Luckily, I didn't have like a major difficult time, fortunately, but I remember one experience where I it also, the same point that I mentioned, it's overworking. Mm-hmm. So there was this project that I was supposed to be involved in, and I was only going to be doing character design. Mm-hmm. But then they were looking for 3D modelers and 3D and storyboard artists. And I suggested myself. I was like, yes, I can do these things. I can prove myself. I was starting out, and I needed the experience. I needed the money as well. So they accepted. But even though I enjoyed it at first, but it was a lot of work. I was doing the storyboards. I did the character designs and some of the 3D modeling in a limited time. So it was really challenging. And if I can go back, I wouldn't take such a big task.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So now you will be more like planning. Okay, this is like possible in this time period, and
exactly. You can take the tasks that you enjoy, and then you can do in a time that allows you to also take a breath and relax and go outside, and that's also very important. Yeah.
And what about the future projects, and maybe what would you like to work on in the future, and some dream scenario, maybe 10 years?
In 10 years, well, my hope will be first to. I think my satisfaction will be from publishing my own stories. That will be probably my fulfillment. Is to be able to maybe do a graphic novel of the characters that I have in mind and publish it. or even like suggest maybe a TV series or something like that. So I want to be creating stories in the near future. But at the same time, I would also like to work on feature films, because I think it also brings a level of I don't know. It's a different experience than TV, because you get more time to focus on every little aspect of the film, like from characters to environments, and it's more. I think there is more dedication to every little detail. So I would like that as well.
And do you have a favorite types of the stories, like fantasy type or underwater, or is there something your like heart desire?
No. Only if it's. I mean, I like stories that maybe involves the characters who are trying to maybe find themselves, in trying to overcome their difficulties, and the outcast characters or something like that. And they come to a point where they are more strong, and so these type of stories are always I can always relate to, but it doesn't matter. I don't have any particular fantasy or anything. No.
Because like if you are already working on the story, maybe, and then maybe when can we see your graphic novel?
Well, I don't know. Maybe at the end of this year, I hope to be able to be starting to put something online, at least for people to see. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
That's my plan. Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually haven't talked about networking, maybe, and you can mention some of your, like networking advice, or how did you do it, maybe when you moved, because it's always hard when you don't know that many people in one town, or how do you do it now?
I think networking now is mainly online for me. Just get your work online on ArtStation. ArtStation is really my favorite right now. Instagram as well is really big. Yeah, and always try to put your best work and get feedback from people, and that's really enjoyable. And you get to network with other artists very easily, and you get maybe messages from people who want to collaborate with you on some things. So that's also very good. Yeah.
Ah, cool. And do you go also still for some conventions, like you mentioned the Comic-Con or some other ones?
I do, but as a visitor. I didn't yet have like my own table, but I wish maybe in the next one, or maybe at CTN in the near future, I would like to go there as well. Yeah.
Oh, cool, good. Yeah. So maybe see you there as well. And before we say goodbye, maybe we can share like a last piece of advice or key takeaway, and then we'll slowly finish.
Key takeaway: don't overwork yourself, don't burn out, and always. I would say to people who are starting that to be authentic with themselves and do the thing that they love, and not necessarily do what is popular. If you like, even if it sounds, if you like let's say creatures, and even though you have like some silly ideas in mind, but they feel authentic to you, and you feel like genuine when you do that, then you should do this. And I think this is how you can bring something unique in your artwork. Yeah, not to try to copy different artists. Try to always bring something from your experience and from the things that you like to do, So, and that's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Also with the color and mood and light, which emphasize the emotional connection with the character, right?
It's important, yeah, but it's not necessarily for everyone. I mean, some people are successful only by maybe ink drawing or just maybe comic flat colors or something. So. It's not really necessary to be able to make a beautiful light and color if it's not the thing that you really like to do. So it always comes down to what you want your artwork to look like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What is kind of the closest to you, right? As you mentioned.
And what makes you feel like this is you who's doing this artwork, not like anybody who is maybe anywhere else, and that doesn't have the same passions that you have. You have to always bring something that you feel like connects with you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I totally agree. And thank you so much again for being here. It was so nice.
Yeah, thank you, and it was really fun.
Thank you, and thanks everyone who joined today as well. And see you in the next episode.
See you. I'm not gonna see you, but she's gonna see you.
It's like, bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe because I post new videos every week. I would be also super happy if you let me know your thoughts in comments and give the video a thumbs up. You can find all the resources mentioned in this episode at artsideoflife.com. Just type a guest name in the search bar. There is also a couple of free artist resources ready for you. So if you want to listen to the interviews on the go too, make sure to check out the podcast at artsideoflife.com/podcast. Continue to inspire each other, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!